There is no denying that with Tarantino's talent, he was destined for greatness. But did you ever stop to think how things actually got rolling for him? Have you read the script that the big guy wants to greenlight? Yeah, the one from the Reservoir Dogs guy. Well, we can't make this. We just had the merger with Disney. Why not? It's full of violence, drugs. There's an overtly sexual conversation about feet. Oh, that's why Harvey likes it. Hey Real students, welcome to Real School, the only film education out there that won't leave you with a useless piece of paper and crippling student debt. I'm your host Michael Wynne Johnson, and today I will be reviewing Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Okay, full disclosure, Tarantino has really only grown on me in the latter half of his career. Now granted, he doesn't owe me anything, and when Reservoir Dogs came out, I was not even a teenager, but it wasn't until Kill Bill that I started to really see that he is an auteur, a really good filmmaker, and started to really pick up on his cinematic calling cards. And that was Kill Bill Volume 2. And since Kill Bill Volume 2, I've had my film education, a little more life experience, and so I can really pick up on a lot of what he's putting out there, and I start to appreciate it. His fanboy love of old Hollywood, kung fu movies, westerns, Japanese samurai films, feet. And if he's not completely full of garbage, and if this is in fact his second to last film because he's only making 10, then of course Once Upon a Time should be as jam-packed of good Tarantino stuff as it ought to be for his penultimate film. And that Tarantino good stuff really starts with the cast. It always has, it always will, because he's got a bank of character actors that he loves working with again and again. And while there aren't as many of those actors in Once Upon a Time, it doesn't mean he's not reuniting with certain actors. Adorable. Certain actors, like they're not this generation's Newman and Redford. You're probably asking, if you haven't seen the film, was it worth the wait? Is this like Pacino and De Niro in Heat? Was this Pitt and DiCaprio's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Yeah, it really was. These two were amazing. The chemistry was good, the bromance was real, and more importantly, you could tell they were both really excited for the project, and that comes across in their performance. And much like he did in Django Unchained, Leo really lost himself in the character of Rick Dalton. It was kind of fun. He was very transformative, and you believed that he was this saddened, kind of past his prime actor. However, it was Pitt's Cliff Booth that I actually felt was a little more worthwhile and a little more interesting to watch. Really, Cliff was the hero of the piece. He was definitely the one that I was cheering for. And more importantly, while he may have had a shady past, he was also the only character in this film that seemingly had a moral code. Isn't that a comment on people in Hollywood? Pitt's Cliff had a lot more to do in this film. In my opinion, he drove the film. He had the only real moments of tension in the film. And you couple that with the fact that Pitt hasn't been as cool as he was in this role since Fight Club, and that makes Pitt for the win. Now here's where a Tarantino-esque twist comes in, that the previous 2 minutes of everything that I've said is really the only stuff I enjoyed about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, I did mention that this film is jam-packed. I mean, it's like a Japanese commuter train during rush hour. Although there's one big difference with a commuter train: it moves. Yeah, those two things are not mutually exclusive because, as I had mentioned, it's so jam-packed with trademark Tarantino tidbits that it becomes bloated. It aimlessly just kind of slogs along, but never really with any purpose or energy. Now, some of that aimlessness was, I guess, fun. Mike Ma as Bruce Lee almost stole the show. It was really interesting to see a lot of these character actors play real-life actors from old-school Hollywood, and very interesting to see the second-generation progeny from Hollywood that was also in this movie. Maya Hawke, Margaret Qualley, Harley Quinn Smith, and Rumor Willis, just to name a few. That's fun, right? See, but that's just the thing. I was looking for fun in this movie. I was looking for interest. I was looking for purpose, because the story's purpose was completely lost. It just drowns in Tarantino's own self-importance. See, I talk about purpose because in the past he's made kung fu movies, so of course they include kung fu. It has a purpose. There was a little bit of kung fu in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and while it was entertaining, that random flashback or flashbacks really didn't add anything to the movie. And also, Tarantino obviously has a love for movie making, the old studio system, Hollywood television, but instead of a quick little conversation that's kind of quirky and informative, we have a 30-minute uncut scene of Rick Dalton on set for a Western that not a lot of people have heard of. I mean, hell, if Tarantino cut half the foot fetish shots, it would have trimmed 40 minutes. But similar to what I told ex-girlfriends of the past, it's not about length, it's about purpose. Tarantino is really known for his pop culture conversations, which in the past have been thematic or subtextual, like Bill in Kill Bill talking about Superman. He also has an encyclopedic knowledge of old European filmmaking, and so we got Michael Fassbender's character in Inglorious Basterds. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had these little tidbits, this encyclopedic knowledge, these pop culture references that weren't thematic. Once again, they didn't have purpose. Now, before you say anything, I understand some of the themes he was definitely going for in Once Upon a Time. The old school system that's dying, the death of America, the death of the 60s, and how depravity really rears its ugly head in Hollywood all the time. I'm not just talking about Polanski obviously playing a big part of this true story. There was a Cosby reference in there too. But again, it's all excess. It seems like nothing was edited out. And while I can look back at the experience and I can think about the screening again, and I can get some of the themes that he was going for or try to understand a little more purpose, I can't tell you how many times during the film I asked myself, where is this going? But by the time you figure out where this is all going, for me, it was just too late. Much like the 5-minute climax of this film in the last 10 minutes of the film in a 2.5-hour film. Much like the supposed Pulp Fiction-esque storylines that intertwine when really they don't intertwine. They're just surface level with story beats that go nowhere. Once Upon a Time is a film where Tarantino thought so much about what he can do, he didn't stop to think about what he should do to push the story forward and tell what I think would be a more layered story. He's definitely written tighter scripts, and it drowns in convolutedness. It is a burn it. Poll question, what's your favorite team-up of two iconic actors? As always, leave your answers in the comments section below. But until next time, school's out. Hey Real students, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe to Real School, click that round Real School logo right beside me. Also click that damn notification bell so you're aware of all of Real School's new content. You can follow me on Twitter, and of course, if you get anything out of Real School, you can always give a little back. Just click the link in the description below or the button down there, and you can become part of my Patreon team.